everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 tournament game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 71. Ugh. We've come so far. Come so far. Alright, turn 71. What is actually happening? We got a couple things casting. We did an augury, found nothing. Again, not really expecting to find anything, but still kind of crossing our fingers, hoping we get that one remaining, Fire 3 super sight type situation, but not really expecting it. We've already been very lucky with super sights or rare sights or whatever you want to call it. We did do a casting of the King of Elemental Earth. This is a little bit of a gamble where we're basically, we did a little bit of polling the audience amongst our allies, trying to wheedle out who has what have people seen, etc., etc. And because we have the ultimate gateway, I feel comfortable just kind of rolling the dice. Maybe we get a King of Elemental Earth, and we did. We got Origines. Nice. Okay, so Origines is pretty cool. I think Origines is the one that can do Earth Gnomes or something like that. We'll double check. Anyways, very neat. And then we did a casting of Transformation. And we got a Hydra Hatchling. This is kind of an interesting chassis. I do think it is a downgrade for what we would be trying to do. It is a downgrade from the Great Eagle, which has been the best one so far. Again, not the gear slots that we're looking for, so we're probably going to continue gambling. But this thing isn't bad in the right situations with the right nation, right? Like if I was playing and doing a transformation factory, I would absolutely be okay with a Hydra Hatchling on a shaman, right? An Enkidu shaman or something like that. I'd be like, yeah, sure, that's fine, right? Built-in regeneration. Built-in resistances to some things. Being able to swim is actually kind of nice, right? Built-in recuperation, a built-in poison cloud, can do a lot of interesting things, right? But for what we're doing with this Nerid, probably not so much. So, we had that, and that's pretty much it as far as ritual castings from the previous turn. Nothing really to report on other than just kind of neat little things like that. Got a couple of battles to watch. We have Arco defending, or actually, I guess, attacking them. Pelagia in Viserion Arches again, right? Pelagia is trying to take Viserion Arches from Arco. And then they're fighting Ulm, right? And then we get to see a Vanheim attack on Vanarus. So let's watch Sailor's Haven. This is Arco versus Ulm. And this is just a little Arcocephalon raiding party versus a little bit of PD, but also what looks to be like a Ulmish raiding party. Maybe actually we don't have any Master Smiths or anything here to buff up these Black Plate infantry, which I think is going to be the issue. I think at the end of the day, depending on how many mages Arcocephaly brings, right, I tend to give the edge to an about equal force of Arcocephalon hoplites versus Ulmish Black Plate infantry. I tend to give the edge to the Black Plate infantry if they're accompanied by a Master Smith doing, Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants, versus an Arcocephalon little group being led by an Archusa doing something, right? Or a Mystic doing a minor thing, because the Master Smith can kind of get more bang for his buck out of just one mage than I think these Mystics or the Archusa can. But when you bring several mages, I think Arco definitely gains the advantage, depending on what they're doing. And it looks like they're going to do body ethereal spam, which I think is going to be a really big deal, right? But we'll see. Body ethereal, summon earth power. Oh, okay, so this guy actually has... ooh, yeah, he's Earth 3. Summon Earth Power. Takes him to Earth 3. We've got some luck coming out. We've got... Ooh, that Archusa just got popped by the arrows. Unfortunate. So we got a Strength of Giants. And then we get a Gifts from Heaven. Coming down and deleting some people. Actually, not really deleting much. Turn this on. Now, with Lucky and Body Ethereal, I do think the Guardians are going to have a hard time dealing with this. I say they're going to have a hard time. Actually, I mean, they're Guardians. They have black halberds, so they probably aren't going to have that hard of a time. Lucky will be an issue, but... Oof. They're trading well. I think if Ulm had any mage support here, this probably would have gone in the way of Ulm, truth be told. How'd this go? Lost 1 Archusa at the very beginning to the light cavalry fire, and then lost 4 hoplites to the Guardians. Much larger force from Arco versus the actual force from Ulm. I wonder if this force... I wonder if there was a leader, like a Master Smith here, and it just got mine-hunted or something like that. That kind of feels like this type of situation. Where is Sailor's Haven? Yeah, this is just kind of like off in the middle of nowhere. I think maybe not the middle of nowhere, but like it doesn't look like there's a fort on this location. And like it definitely feels like this would be a party led from Ulm by a Master Smith, or even 2, and that Arco probably mind hunted it and then sent in a party to kill it. Which, I mean, has been effective, right? Like, we can see losing the Guardians is 15 Guardians. That's rough. That's not fun. So, if that is how things are going to be, Ulm needs to move astral units around with its raiding parties to I say to prevent, but I think Arco is actually one of the best nations in the game for not giving a fuck about getting their cords cut when it comes to mind hunting, because they can heal with their Archuzas. They can heal the feeble-minded. So that's actually really, really interesting, I think. Hard to deal with. Definitely hard to deal with in that particular case. Unfortunate, like, this was a minor engagement, but this shows a lot, I think, about what is available to each of these players and what might happen in a long, drawn-out war between the two of them. Then we also get Arco fighting Pelagia in Viserion Arches. Okay, and we saw, in the previous turn, we saw Arco send in some magic duelers to try to grab some of these Triton Kings. And this is really super interesting. He's pulled out those Triton Kings, right? In response, Pelagia has pulled those Triton Kings out of the fight in the hopes that, you know, they don't get magic dueled. But that also means that he has less robust mages participating in the fight, and while they won't get magic dueled, his other units, his mystics, can get magic dueled. It also looks like Pelagia has been hit by something. Flames from the sky, murdering winter, something. A lot of people have missing HP. A lot of missing HP over here. So that is, that's unfortunate. That's a really big deal. So it looks like there is a really big force here for Pelagia, but it's kind of beat to shit. So keep that in mind. And then Arco actually sends a real force to fight against Pelagia. Bunch of green lions, which is all interesting and good. A bunch of hoplites, a couple of Cardaces, it looks like. Is that what the... Yeah, Cardaces. A bunch of deep ones, which is kind of cool. These guys are sacred. Fanatic deep ones. I wonder how he's getting those. Probably some event or something. That's pretty cool, though. He's got a holy deep one. Interesting. And then he has a whole shit ton of mages, and they're all spread out all over the place. A bunch of mystics, some astrologers, This is a full-blown army from Arca. So let's see what happens. Bunch of communioning happening in the back there for Arco. We got a bunch of enslaved minds coming out immediately. We do get a couple of individuals enslaved, but fortunately the Great Eagles are the ones that are getting targeted because they're such high HP pools. So that is a little bit of a thing. Natural Rain goes up, Demon Cleansing goes up, and Pelagia is doing Mass Flight. He's got his Gore Tide in the background, and then all of his units start to fall. The problem is like they're really banged up, right? So like all of these units are really hurt. Oh, there was a lot of Gifts of Heaven, just shredding them. A couple of elementals come out from Pelagia's side. Oof. He stole a Troll King, it looks like. Damn. Okay, so Arco loses a little bit here, right? Like, this was not a lossless fight. Lost 2 astrologers, and those are... that's not nothing, right? Lost an Enchantress. Lost 4 mystics, right? Lost a little bit of chaff. Some green lions, 10 green lions. That's not something that you really want to lose. 15 hoplites, not that big of a deal. He did gain a couple things. Gained a Pelagian Mystic, gained a Troll King. Those could be nice. I don't know if he's going to want to Divine Name or Gift of Reason, either of those, but they could be nice. And then Pelagia just lost a whole lot here. Pelagia lost a lot of money's worth of units, right? Champions of the Closed Realm, Wave Warriors, etc. He lost that Gore-Tide Horror, which actually is a little unfortunate. Those things are pretty sick. But then lost a lot of mages, lost a lot of mystics, lost 2 of the 3 Triton Kings, lost both Troll Kings, one being an actual, like, Troll King death, and one being an enslavement. So that's really unfortunate. And this is kind of like, you can see they were matched size-wise. And honestly, I mean, Arco sent in 32 mystics. That's a lot of mages. The thing is most of these mystics were not there casting. Probably, I don't know how high he took the communion. I mean, I guess we can check real quick. But I would say most of these are here. Communion Master, Magic. Yeah, there's 17 Communion Slaves here. So yeah, half of those weren't even casting, right? So they were relatively evenly matched. I think I probably still would have given the edge to Arcos Follies, just seeing what they were doing. But the thing is it wasn't an even match, because Pelagia got chewed the fuck up in the late game by either Murdering Winter or Flames from the Sky, or a combination of both, right? And that is, I think, one of the issues that I actually do have with late game in this game, is that it does kind of feel that late game turns into a scenario of, oh, you have to siege some forts in order to win this game. Good luck sieging them. In the late game, it honestly kind of turns into a situation of like, okay, I have to sacrifice some armies. I have to throw out some things that are big enough that my enemy doesn't think they can super combatant, big enough and diverse enough that my enemy doesn't think they can super combatant it, doesn't think they can fight it in the field, right? Without using a lot of gems on something like Flames from the Sky, right? And people will use like 2 or 3 Flames from the Sky in a turn. This is one of the reasons why I am a little apprehensive that we have really shitty fire income going into the late game. It really makes me sad. But it's also one of the complaints that I have for late game Dominions. It really does feel like a lot of late game fights go, okay, well, I need to bait out as many gems from you. Not gem burn, but I need to bait out as many gems from you as I can, and then weather the storm, and then send the final armies in to crack your shit when you don't have enough to flames from the sky 3 times, plus a murdering winter. You know? It is a little unfortunate that for me, I think personally that works that way. Anyways, really cool battle to see though. And then we have a battle, Vanheim versus Vanarus in Digmore. And this is, on Van's side, this is just a little raiding party. But on the Vanarusian side, we've got some stuff here. So we've got a Sage on the side, a Sage in the back. These are both loaded up with air gems, so I'm assuming air elementals. We have a Vanabog, also air gems, assuming air elementals. Another Vanabog, also air gems, assuming air elementals. A little bit of PD, and then we have a Gamayun over here, also air gems, assuming air elementals. This is a, I say assuming air elementals, it's pasted up there in front of me. This is a lot of air gems to kill 5, 6, 7, 6 vans and a van here. Like, that's a lot of air elementals. Should do the trick. Maybe. They popped the glamours, and that's important. Here's the second wave coming in. Okay, so here's the thing. One. Ooh, yes. Really one. Killed 4 of them. 2 of them escaped. I was gonna say, I thought more escaped. And I was gonna be like, yeah, you won, but did you really win? But yes, in this particular instance, this is definitely a win. So that's still a lot to commit to the fight. So here was the other thing I was gonna see, did they have a place to retreat to? Because if the leader had survived and like 3 of those vans had survived, that's still a thing that could raid you, right? And if it had a place to escape to, then that matters as well. But this is a little rough for Vanarus. Good on them for killing these. That's a very big commitment to have to do to kill. What was that? That was did they have any gems at the end of that? Let's see if they had any gems at the end of that. Because if that was 20 gems, no gems, no gems, no gems, no gems, no gems. That was 20 gems. 20 gems is a lot of gems to kill a raiding party that Van can produce. Van can produce that every single turn. Easily produce that every single turn, right? Easily Van should be producing 6 vans at this. Vanheim should be producing 6 vans in their capital every single turn. I would assume that, if not more, right? Probably 7 or 8 every single turn. And then a van here is just whatever. It's a van here. They can produce 50,000 of those a turn. So that's a lot to have to pay to kill a party like that. And I think that's going to be indicative of anything Vanarus does against Vanheim is going to be just a, hey, I'm this big, you're this big. I have to throw this many resources into a thing, you have to throw these many resources into a thing, right? It's going to be really rough for Vanarus to make real headway. Anyways, so those were cool fights. Let's move on to actual things that we can report on. We got some unexpected events in the Royal Green. A handful of magic gems have been found in the prime of the season. This is, I think, our second Death Gem event in 2 turns. We got Death Gems prior to this, and I think we got Death Gems. Obviously, we got Death Gems now. So that's pretty cool. New trade routes have been opened in Packwoods. We got some increased province income. And then new trade routes have been opened in Ironwood Forest. We got more province income. That's actually really cool. So, for the turn, events 0 negative, 3 positive. We have Packwoods income plus 10, Ironwood income plus 10, and Death Gems plus 14, which is a lot of gems to get in a single event. Just throwing that out there. A lot of gems of one type. Like, holy shit. Also, thaumaturgy rituals are cheaper this month, which is neat. Cured some afflictions and some diseases. Very nice. What are we doing this turn? Mostly just maneuvering things around. We are moving back and forth between our capital, Satrandith, and the Forgotten Woods, ferrying troops back and forth through into our experience factory. We have a Apu leading Morhatten Runa out to the Royal Green. We're getting there. Filling out, right? We have patrollers. Well, we actually don't have patrollers in Amul right now because we're building there. But we have patrollers in Bara, in Old Man Mountains. We're patrolling in Neefel. We're patrolling in Forest of Pine. We're getting to that point to where we're trying to close out our periphery and patrol in every single location so that no scouts come in or out. They have to scry, and then we're probably going to have domes on the places that we care about so that the scrying gets bounced the majority of the time. Although, I mean, there's a chance that the scrying doesn't get bounced, and that'll be really annoying, but it is what it is. Yeah. Sometimes it do be that way. Aside from that, interesting little scenario. We are actually, and I'm not I still question whether or not I wanted to actually do this, but I want to get information sooner rather than later. We started summoning Black Servants last turn, right? And Black Servants we're intentionally using them. Wait, did we start doing that last turn, or is that this turn? Oh, spoilers. We're going to start summoning Black Servants this turn. And Black Servants we're going to send into the water to use as vision, right? They are ethereal undead scouts, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they're ethereal. Obviously, I know they're undead scouts. But in order to get to that point, right, it's turn 71. We'll have them on turn 72, and then we'll be able to move them out. They'll arrive in Pelagian territory on turn 73, but they don't fly, so they don't go that far, meaning that it's going to take them several turns to filter out into Pelagian territory. And I don't want to wait that long for information, so I'm sending out, against better judgment, I'm sending out Rununkas equipped with Rings of Water Breathing to try to get information in specific areas sooner rather than later. So we're trying to get eyes on Pelagia. We're gonna get scouts all over the place as quickly as we can so that we can understand what we're fighting, make any last minute preparations as we run up the turn order to turn 80 or so and go from there. And that's really it as far as our particular situations go. As far as the rest of the world goes, well, you've seen, right? Like we've been watching battles. I'm moving more and more scouts into other locations. We're producing more and more scouts. Really trying to, anyways, and trying to cover the world so that we can kind of get a good understanding of what's going on. But the current standpoint is that Vanheim is winning against Vanarus, which is to be expected. They're 4 times the size of Vanarus, right? But Vanarus is still, they haven't just thrown in the towel. They're still trying, right? They're still fighting. Arco is doing well against Ulm and doing well against Vanheim. But my assumption is going to be that eventually Vanarus is going to run out of resources and Vanheim's going to win against Vanarus, right? Maybe Arco takes some Vanarusian territory in response while that is happening. We'll see. I do actually think that if those two are working in concert, one of the best ideas that might be doable is for... I want to say for Vanarus to Doomstack, but if Vanarus Doomstacks, Vanheim will just light it up with flames from the sky and murdering winter, would be my assumption. So I don't think it matters at this point. I think ultimately Vanarus is going to get squashed, and then the pressure is going to be put onto Arco, and I think I know the Arcos Fallen player, the current player, the one that subbed in, is a very good player. And I think they're going to do a very good job, but I don't think that they're going to win. I don't know that they would win 1v1 against Vanheim. They might, right? But I don't know that they would win 1v1 against Vanheim, just because I think Vanheim does have more resources to throw into the fight. But I definitely don't think that they're going to win a 1v2 versus Vanheim and Ulm, because it's just gonna whittle them down, right? Slowly but surely, it will whittle them down, and any big mistakes are going to be incredibly costly for them. Whereas any big mistakes on the side of Vanheim or Ulm is going to be less of an issue. So, I think the clock is ticking. I definitely think the clock is ticking on how long do we have to gear up and try to consume Pelagia. Which, by the way, I'm making a lot of fucking assumptions here on whether or not I'm going to even be able to succeed at all against Pelagia. We might hurl everything we have into the ocean, and the ocean might just hurl it right the fuck back. So, just keep that in mind, right? Like, I'm all of this is hypotheticals, right? So that's kind of the situation that's developing at the moment. Things to report on. We are building buildings. One fortress in Anul. We're actually going to go ahead and start putting that together. So we've got that going on. And then we've got some recruitment. Recruitment for this turn is actually a little strange. We do not have much money. We had less than 1,000 gold really coming in this turn. And most of that went to this fortress upgrade, which I think is 300, right? So we don't have much in the way of money to spend on recruitment. So recruitment for the turn is 7 Runankas, 2 Huron Priests, and 5 Sun Guard. And I don't think we really need to discuss the Huron Priests or the Sun Guard, because those are the same reasons why we have been recruiting those continuously. We want to have Sun Guard for the rest of the game. We want Huron Priests because they are the best combat mage that we have at this point that we can recruit anywhere. And we want the Renankas are the actual like outlier. We got 7 scouts this turn, which is a lot of scouts, but that's because we have gaping holes in our information. And I want to try to fix that. So part of this is we might send more into the water with rings of water breathing. The other part is there are large tracts of both Arco and Vanheim that we just can't see at all, and I want to fix that. And that's pretty much it. Other things to discuss, we have Nazcan recruits. We have 41 Hatenruna this turn. Very nice. We have 142 Long Dead Warriors, which I think is up a little bit from last turn. Yeah, we had 131 last turn. So 142 up this turn. I think we added back in a recruiter, and we added in some amulets of the dead. So slowly but surely eking up almost to that 150 mark. Very, very cool. We have 13 recalled Supayas. We have 2 summons of Supayas for 14 Supayas. And then we have 1 summon Huaka for 7 Huakas. So yeah, really, really cool there. That's 27 Supayas. This gonna be coming out this turn. That's really good. 27 Supayas is getting very close to that mark of where we would want to be anyways. Sorry. So that is actually really, really exciting for me personally. I think that mark of 30 Supayas, 30 to 40 Supayas, I think is where If you're hitting that every single turn, that's healthy. That's respectable. That's good for the rest of the game, generally speaking. Unless the rest of the game goes really, really long. I would be very happy with that many Supayas every single turn. And I don't really see a reason why we're not going to be... The only time I see the amount of Supayas we have produced each turn decreasing is if we suddenly have to start pulling Royal Malquis into combat situations, which is entirely possible. I also do want to start recruiting more Royal Malquis, but it is very, very hard to justify their expense for other things. We really need more bodies at the moment. If you look at the amount of mages, for example, thrown into that single fight for Arco, Arco had 32, 34, 35-ish. Maybe we don't count that one. 35, 36, 37, and 41 mages. 41 mages. If you start totaling up all of the mages that we have, I'm not sure we hit 80. Maybe we do. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 just here in Boral, right? But like the point that I'm trying to make is we don't actually have a lot of mass when it comes to our mage core. We have pretty quality mage core, I think, generally speaking, but we don't have a lot of mass, and we need to be able to hit multiple locations in Pelagia with mages in this war, or else we're gonna get got. So I think that's a pretty big deal. I do want more Royal Malquis, but I think the decision that we're making right now is correct. Anyways, other things that we got going on, we still got special recruits. 1 Direwolf, 1 Duskwalker. That's pretty nice, is what it is. And then rituals for the turn. We've got a couple things here that I am pretty excited about. We've got rituals, 1 augury, 1 transformation. We're going to keep fishing with Echidna. And then we have, over in the Forgotten Woods, we have another King of Elemental Earth and another Queen of Elemental Air, along with 4 Black Servants for the turn. So that's a lot of gems being spent. The augury transformation, I don't think we really need to talk about. We talked about the Black Servants a little bit already. I think this is the first time we're actually using them. Black Servants are very low-level conjuration. They are stealthy, I think undead. I know undead. I think ethereal. Let me check real quick, because this is just bothering me. It's bothering me. Check the mod inspector. They are stealthy 60. They are undead, ethereal, and amphibious, right? Being a very key point for us, because otherwise we would not be able to use them as we intend on using them. And as we intend on using them is just sending them out into the water in mass, right? So we are summoning 4 Black Servants. These normally cost 5 death gems a pop, which is a lot, right? 20 death gems for 4 scouts is I don't like that. That would be 14 more Supayas if we were just casting it regularly. Don't like that at all. However, with a 40% off, turning them into just 3 gems, only taking 12 death gems for 4 scouts is, I think, way more useful. Especially considering what we are trying to accomplish with them. Again, obviously they're stealthy because they're scouts, but them being amphibious meaning we can get scouting information without having to use rings of water breathing, which are going to be very precious to us, right? So this is basically just a let's spend death gems, which we have more of, to save ourselves on water gems, which we have less of. So I'm actually thinking that this is going to be a very big deal for us, especially since we're getting savings out of it, right? And then the Queen of Elemental Air and the King of Elemental Earth, again, another little bit of a gamble. We've got the gems, we've been doing the talking, the scouting, kind of right, feeling ourselves out. Who's there, who has what's left, etc., etc. And we're going to gamble, right? It might not pay out for us, but if it doesn't, it is costing us significantly less to gamble than we otherwise normally would. To the tune of Ultimate Gateway, we are saving 20 air gems this turn, 20 earth gems this turn, 6 astral this turn, and with the 4 castings of Black Servants and the 2 castings of Supayas, 20 death gems as well. That's 66 gems saved this turn. That's a metric shit ton. That is a big deal. A lot of what comes down to late game situations are obviously it's strategy and it's your knowledge of the game, and it's what you are clever enough to come up with. I'm not especially clever. So in this particular case, it is very, very, very fortunate that I'm being given a great boon on the other thing that is very important in the late game, and that's your ability to utilize gems, right? And how much you have to utilize to accomplish a thing. We were talking earlier about the concept of like flames from the sky just being so incredibly punitive, but it costs, right? It costs 30, I believe. Yeah, it's 30 fire gems to cast. So can you obliterate that 500 stack army? Yeah, absolutely you can obliterate that 500 stack army. But it might cost you 2 castings, 3 castings of Flames from the Sky. That's 90 gems. I have 5 fire income per turn. That's abysmal, right? But a good fire income per turn at this point in the game might be like 15, right? So getting just 1 casting of Flames from the Sky is like 2 turns at a good income, and that's if you're not using that income on anything else, right? So that might be 3 turns to get a casting, and if you need multiple castings to obliterate an army, you might not be able to accomplish that unless you've been storing up fire gems for a while, and if you've been having to do it, you might not be able to do it very frequently. Us saving gems on these, again, it's kind of like a little bit of a situation of like, are we really saving gems if we're spending them on things we otherwise wouldn't be spending them on? I think generally the answer is still yes, as long as what you're getting is of good quality or good use, right? You know? Us saving 66 gems in a turn off of the Ultimate Gateway is crazy, right? Like, that's like saving the equivalents in gems of 2 Flames from the Sky castings. That's a big deal. That type of kind of like economic undercutting in the late game is actually going to give us a leg up in competing with other individuals. I'm hoping that we're going to see over the course of this turn 70 to turn 80 situation, we're going to save so many gems, it's going to kind of be absurd what we produce and what we are able to field at turn 80 versus what we were producing at turn 70. Okay. Anyways, I've gushed about that enough. Let's go on to the last little thing that we have this turn, and that is forging. We got a bunch of forging going on. Again, the forges are open, continuing to be open. They'll be open until the end of the game. 1 Lightless Lantern, 1 Water Lens, 2 Skull Mentors, 2 Amulets of the Dead, 1 Ring of Water Breathing, 1 Armor of Knights, 1 Moonvine Bracelet, and 1 Dragon Helm. So some of this gear is actually for our Fairy Queen. Things like a Dragon Helmet, a Moonvine Bracelet, that type of stuff is actually going on our Fairy Queen. Because Fairy Queens have abysmal morale. We want to put good morale items. The Dragon Helmet is one of the best singular morale items you could throw on to something like a Fairy Queen. Another item that we could do instead of... So we have the Fire Plate on her, and that's because it's very cheap. Gives +2 morale. It's actually better... What's better is Forge. Something like the Red Dragon Scale Mail is a +4 morale item, but it is double the cost, and we can't do that for fire because we have no fire. There are water alternatives, the Blue Dragon Scale Mail, which does the same thing morale-wise, but also the Green Dragon Scale Mail, which also does the same thing morale-wise. The issue of those versus the Red Fire Plate, for example, is that they don't have fire resistance, right? And dealing with something like Flames from the Sky really is crucial, right? Having your important mages not get obliterated by Flames from the Sky is a very, very big deal. And also, while we don't have much of a fire income, we're also not using much of a fire income, whereas we are using our nature income, and we don't have a very good one there, and we are using the crap out of our water income, and we have a better one there, right? So while I could do something like a scale mail and do it as either blue or green and get better morale, we're basically just gonna hope that we're okay with +2 and then a +5 in the Dragon Helmet, and go from there, cross our fingers type situation. Moonvine Bracelet for upping the amount of nature that we have. Simple, easy peasy stuff. Armor of Knights, just because that is good, general thug gear, protective gear, and we've talked about all of the rest of the stuff repeatedly. So, the gearing up process continues. I am starting to get a little worried, and this is something that we're going to have to keep an eye out for. I am getting a little worried about our Dominion. Part of this is we do have a lot of heretics because of our Paquos, but also we just don't have extremely strong Dominion. We don't have a crazy amount of temples. It is difficult for us to really push our Dominion in this particular instance unless we are preaching at the edges of our borders, and we're not really doing that right now. We have done it a little bit here or there, like we're preaching over in Baral, but we're not really preaching in Might March. We're not really preaching in the corners, which is a little bit of an issue and something that we might start looking into, but right now, I'm less concerned about it than I probably should be, and more concerned about hitting our research goals and preparing for inevitable war with Pelagia. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be it for the turn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.